Good evening, everyone. My name is Angela Pulley from Heartland Lifestyle Center, and tonight we're very excited to start our webinar. Our webinar is about how you can prevent cancer naturally. We know there's many statistics out there, but cancer is the second leading cause of death in the United States. So it's something to talk about, and it's something that we can do something about. And that's what we want to talk about this week, starting Wednesday through Sunday. So welcome, everyone. My name is Angela Pulley. I'm the director of Heart and Lifestyle Center. And beside me here is one of my co-workers. His name is Martin Raj, and he'll tell you a little bit about himself.
Well, I work here as a male therapist and also help with cooking. I'm originally from India. You have noticed it from my accent. Anyway, we are all here excited to present this cancer care program, and hope you will be able to enjoy. And before we go further, first things first, if you at any point have question during the main lecture, we have this chat box and you can type down your questions there, and we will try to answer the question at the end of the lecture. So we will start with a small video, and then we will give it to our main presenter or the speaker of the evening.
But we would like to start with prayer. And so let's just bow our heads for a brief word of prayer. Dear Father in heaven, we thank you for this opportunity to share these wonderful truths that can help people prevent cancer. In the name of Jesus, amen.
Amen. Amen. All right, let's watch a video. It is on green smoothie that is helpful for people with cancer.
Hi, my name is Debbie, and today I'm going to show you how to make a green smoothie and what are the benefits to even care to do a green smoothie. So what comes to your mind when you think of a green smoothie? I know for me, before I thought, I'll pass. Like, I don't really need it, I eat healthy, but what are the benefits? So one day someone came and shared how you can make it actually taste good and how you can actually gain more energy, receive the nutrients, because greens have a lot of phytochemicals, minerals, antioxidants, our fruits, and greens are powerful to not only help our gut, like restore our flora, but just give us nourishment to our blood, to our immune system, and we want to have our body strong, especially when we're dealing with disease. And for cancer care, we recommend a lot more fruits, vegetables, juicing. And what is the difference between juicing and a smoothie? So with juicing, you get all the nutrients, they're absorbed more rapidly, there's no fiber, so you're getting your vitamins, your minerals. But did you know what? With smoothies, you get more antioxidants and you get the fiber as well. So you're getting the whole package. You're not leaving anything out. But definitely, it's gonna be more bulky. So juicing, you can get a lot of carrots and greens in just a little amount. So both have its pros and cons, but today we're just gonna do a recipe of a green smoothie that can taste delicious and that will increase your nourishment and your energy and your health. So basically what we want to have as a rule is choose 3 to 4 different fruits. We do want to keep fruits that are sweet, like here we have some cut pears and bananas. And then we want to add our berries are very high in antioxidants. So if we have any blueberries, blackberries, strawberries, we can add those. Just keep in mind that certain fruits will change the consistency. So blueberries will make it more thick. Apples, for example, will make it more, not as smooth. So I love using pears and bananas as my main sweetener. So we'll just add some of our fruit to our blender. They can be frozen or they can be fresh. So you don't need to stress if you don't have frozen, then it's not a smoothie. It's just a fruit tasty drink with benefits. Then here we have some actually from this bag that we have a mix of some berries and kale. So we'll add this. And we'll add a little more strawberries here to our fruits. Then I have here mangoes, you can choose, but right now because of our space, we'll just keep it to that and add the rest of greens. So we can just get like a handful of greens. You can use kale, you can use spinach, you can use charge. These are baby greens, so it's a mixture of different kind. And if you have a larger blender, just pile it up with good amount of greens. And you can always add just a little bit of water if you need it to blend. And also if you have a blender with a little help of your paper stick, we can use that as well. So we're just gonna turn it on, put a little bit of water there. So because of our blueberries and some of the greens that had the red center part, definitely our color will change, and you'll see it right here, the exact color. If you don't use blueberries, you just use some fruits and some spinach, it can come really nice and bright green. So depending what you use, the colors will sometimes be attractive, sometimes they won't. But the taste will be good if you use fruits, and the benefits surpass everything. And how you feel, even better. This is nice and sweet.
Welcome to those who just joined. And tonight, every night, we will have a little practical thing that you can learn about, or something simple you can do at home to actually make a big impact on your health and can prevent cancer. Tonight, though, we have a special speaker. Her name is Doris Hernandez. She is a nutritionist and a health educator for many years, over 20 years, and she has a lot of knowledge to share. Tonight, she's going to talk about our nutrition, how it can impact our health, and how we can eat a way that can prevent cancer, and we can eat a way that can cause cancer. So I want you to stay tuned and enjoy. Now, the next person you'll hear will be Ms. Doris Hernandez. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. I am very happy to be here. I thank Mrs. Pooley and Martin for the invitation, and also for the help so that this could be a reality. And I'm just going to begin with the subject, and I hope all of you enjoy this presentation as well as I have enjoyed preparing it. Okay, again, the subject is the cancer. My part is the nutrition, the prevention of cancer with the nutrition. What is cancer? Reality is a general term that represents hundreds of diseases. It's not one disease. Cancer is not one disease. We have hundreds of cancer. We have breast cancer, and breast cancer are many different kinds of breast cancer. And there are many different kinds of colon cancer. So it's hundreds of cancers. And so it's many diseases that are in common. What they have is abnormal cell division. They divide without control and can invade nearby tissues, form tumors, and invade and damage nearby tissues. Okay, just two facts. Mrs. Pooley already mentioned one. It is the second leading cause of death in the United States. The second one. What's the first one? Everybody knows, huh? Coronary heart disease. The second one is cancer. About 600,000 people die every year in the United States because of cancer. But it's not only in the United States. Globally, the toll is about 10 million a year. Can you believe that? 10 million a year of a disease that can be prevented. Is it preventable? That's the question we have here. Is it preventable? Let's read something here. There are some researchers that believe that genetics determine our diseases, that genetic determine whether we get a disease or not. It says, and it's called, that philosophy is called, or that teaching, that school is called genetic determinism. Most medical researchers affirm that genetic is the basis of degenerative diseases, the basis for cancer, diabetes. They say genes operate fairly fairly independently, continuing to do their thing with little impact from environmental and lifestyle factors. So we were talking about this genetic determinism, which is the philosophy or the school that believes that it doesn't matter what we do. The environmental factors don't have much input into whether we develop a degenerative disease. The lifestyle factor, that's not so important because we are we are bound to have the disease because we have it in our genes, because we inherited that from our parents or our great-grandparents or our family members. Now, but there is another philosophy, another school that is slowly but quickly, really, I would not say slowly, but quickly growing. And this is nutritional determinism, okay? And they say health, we start with health and disease genes, but nutritional practices control the expression of the genes. What? Nutritional practices control the expression of these genes that we have inherited, whether they are healthy or disease genes. Good nutrition is, and listen to this very well, good nutrition blocks the expression of disease genes, leaving only health genes to produce health. And one of the believers of this is Dr. T. Colin Campbell, which I brought one of his books here, The China Study. It's a very interesting book. If you haven't read this, buy it, purchase it, and read it. I recommend it if you are interested in this subject of prevention of cancer. So you can see here the chart. We are born with both health genes and disease genes because we inherit this from our ancestors. But you can see the nutritional interception blocking the expression of the disease genes. If the nutrition is good, it says good nutrition blocks the expression of disease genes, leaving only the health genes to produce health. Isn't that good news? Okay, and here I have another quote from Dr. Campbell, and this is from the book that I just showed you, The China Study, okay? And in page 233, it says, not all genes are fully expressed all the time. Remember, nutritional determinism. We're not believing in this genetic determinism, okay? Not all genes are fully expressed all the time. If they aren't activated or expressed, they remain biologically dormant. So if our diet, the way we eat, or our exercise level, or any of these factors block the expression of the disease genes, then they are going to remain dormant. If they are dormant, they are not going to have an effect in our health. Dormant genes do not have any effect on our health. What happens to cause some genes to remain dormant and other genes to express themselves? The answer is environment, but especially the diet. And that is what we're talking about today. We're making an emphasis on the diet, not that only the diet will help us. There are other factors that will help us. The exercise, the going to bed early, but we are focusing tonight on diet, okay? So there is this article that was published on a scientific journal called Pharmaceutical Research. Look at the title of this article. Cancer is a preventable disease that requires major lifestyle changes, not just a little change here and there, major and continuous lifestyle changes. And it says only 5 to 10% of cancers can be attributed to genetic defects. Remember the question at the beginning, is cancer preventable? It says only 5 to 10% of cancers can be attributed to genetic defects. 90 to 95% have the roots in the environment and the lifestyle. This is about the same as Dr. Campbell is telling in his book. The lifestyle factors include cigarette smoking. We all know that. Okay, cigarette smoking. So if you're smoking, stop. Stop, don't do that to yourself. Diet, especially fried foods and meat, alcohol, sun exposure, too much sun, because we need sun, but we need to be moderate in sun exposure. Environmental pollutants, infections, stress, even stress. And the life that we are living today is very stressful. So we need to know how to trust, how to control stress by using different ways to do it. Trusting in God is one of those. Obesity and physical inactivity, all this. But remember, today we're focusing more on nutrition. So that same article continues to say, human biology is actually far more complicated than we imagine. Everybody talks about the genes they received from their mother and father for this trait or the other. But in reality, those genes have very little impact on life outcomes. Our biology is way too complicated for that and deals with hundreds of thousands of independent factors. Many factors around, there is a book, I want to show you that one too. It's called Whole. It's the same author of the China study, it's T. Colin Campbell. And he explains here that sometimes we believe that, okay, I'm going to exercise 30 minutes a day and that will help me to prevent cancer. Exercise is one factor. Or I'm going to take beta carotene every day and that will help me, lower the risk of cancer. That is reducing things, complicated. Our biology is actually, like it says here, far more complicated. All these factors will determine whether we get a disease or not. It's not only one thing. However, diet is a very, very important factor, okay? Our biology is way too complicated for that and deals with hundreds of thousands of independent factors. Genes are absolutely not our fate. They can give us useful information about the increased risk of a disease. My husband, for example, his father, his uncles, brothers and sisters, all have diabetes type 2. With the diet, he has been a plant-based diet eater for more than 40 years. He hasn't developed diabetes type 2. He's already 70 years old. So genes are absolutely not our fate. They can give us useful information about the increased risk of a disease, but in most cases, they will not determine the actual cause of the disease or the actual incidence of somebody getting it. Most biology will come from the complex interaction of all the proteins and cells working with environmental factors, not driven directly by genetic code. Here we have a chart. You see the environment, let's see here. The environment is about 90 to 95% determining whether we develop the disease, and the genes only 5 to 10%. You can see in the top circle there. And you can see on the bottom where the circle that says environment, that purple area, that's the diet. And the diet is has the biggest impact along with tobacco. Okay, you can see diet influencing stopping, preventing, or increasing the risk of several cancers in there. And it continues to say in that same article, for example, it says Asians have been shown to have a 25 times lower incidence of prostate cancer and 10 times lower incidence of breast cancer than do residents of Western countries. But that rate increases substantially after Asians migrate to Western countries. Why? They adopt the diet, they adopt the inactivity level, they adopt other factors, and the environment that increases the risk of cancer. So it is not the genes only. The genes are, the expression are determined by many of these factors, especially I emphasize especially our diet. This is another article, another scientific article. It says high meat consumption linked to gastric cancer risk. High meat consumption. We're eating too much meat, too many animal products, but especially a lot of meat, especially red meat and highly processed meat products. So why? What is in meat that makes it such a risk factor? One of the factors in meat is heme iron. It says in this other article, this is a European Journal for Cancer Prevention, very prestigious journal. It says heme iron from meat and risk of adenocarcinoma of the esophagus and stomach. It says iron can cause oxidative stress and DNA damage. So this iron can damage the DNA, but it's not just any iron, it's the iron from animal products, which is called heme iron. Heme comes from hemoglobin. Plants don't have hemoglobin, okay? So heme iron can catalyze endogenous formation of nitro and nitroso compounds, which are potent carcinogens. Dietary iron promotes esophageal cancer incidence in animal studies and has been identified as a growth factor for Helicobacter pylori. Have you heard people saying, oh, the Helicobacter pylori, that's just because it may be in the polluted waters or some pollution, you know, of food or whatever, contamination. But it says here that heme iron also has been identified as a growth factor for Helicobacter pylori, and which is an established risk factor also for stomach cancer. So maybe we should be thinking about lowering the intake of meat products or animal products because of the great amount of heme iron and the high absorption of this heme iron. Plant iron, which is non-heme iron, is of less absorption. And in the past, I used to be, oh, no. You cannot live on plants only because you need iron, and iron from plants is not of high absorption. The Lord knows what he's doing. The iron should not be absorbed at the rate that it is absorbed from animal products because it increases the risk of damage in our body, especially DNA damage. Let's talk about quickly about some other dietary factors that may increase the risk of cancer. Okay, quickly. Again, we mentioned already alcohol, meat. Okay, and meat not only have heme iron, but also has insulin-like growth factor number 1. We will talk a little bit more about that one. It also has a lot of fat, and fat is another factor that contributes to the risk of cancer. Animal protein. If they have done studies, remember Dr. Colin Campbell in the China study, he did studies taking the animal protein out of foods like milk, taking the casein, which is the protein, and alone giving that to lab animals, and they developed cancer. Then he gave them plant protein, just took gluten out of some plant products and gave them to animals. And the ones that had the casein increased the cancer. The ones that had the gluten, they didn't increase the cancer. And the ones that had the casein and increased the cancer or developed cancer, then they were put on a gluten diet, which is the plant protein, and they lower the cancer. And some of them even the precancerous cells disappear. Okay, saturated fat in animal foods is also seen to increase risk of cancer. It's a promoter, not an initiator, but a promoter. Polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, those are developed when we cook grilled meat and cook meat at high temperatures. We develop polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, which are also they are also carcinogens. And heterocyclic amines, other carcinogens found in animal products, especially when they are cooked at high temperatures. A low intake of fruits and vegetables, because like the juice, the smoothie that was shown earlier, what does it have? Well, it has a lot of antioxidants. She talked about the fiber, the phytochemicals in them. And people that eat a lot of animal products, a lot of meat, a lot of cheese, milk, eggs, and stuff like that, they eat very little, many times, they eat very little fruits and vegetables. And so they are not having this protection. They have the factors that increase the cancer risk. And then they don't have the factors that protect us or lower the risk of cancer, like the antioxidants, the phytochemicals, and the fiber. And we will talk a little bit more about those two. Low intake of dietary carotenoids. Like in the green, dark green leafy vegetables, in the yellow and orange fruits and vegetables, they are loaded with carotenoids, and many of them can protect us also from the risk of cancer. Low fiber diet, okay, a low fiber diet, maybe a person is not consuming animal products, but they are eating plant food, they are vegans, but they are eating a lot of highly processed foods, refined grains, white rice, white spaghettis, white bread, and they are not eating a lot of vegetables. They are eating a lot of cooked things, already prepared, canned, or frozen. Well, frozen is a little better, but a lot of highly processed food that are low in fiber. So a low fiber diet also increases our risk, because fiber can, in the alimentary canal, binds to the carcinogens and gets them out of the body. And fiber increases the transit time, and there is less time for carcinogens to be in contact with the wall of the intestine and the wall of the alimentary canal. So fiber is very important. So if you're eating refined products, I recommend increase your intake of whole grains and whole vegetables and fresh fruits. Mycotoxins, this is a mold that is found in moldy peanuts or moldy grains, and we need to be careful. We don't have a lot of time to talk about it, but you can read some more about it. Salt preserved foods, the same thing. Be careful about those, because they increase the risk of cancer. Diet deficient in certain micronutrients like selenium and zinc. Selenium, zinc, magnesium, these are micronutrients, minerals that are important for the immune system, and the immune system can protect us. And when this, daily, we can develop precancerous cells daily, because of our cell multiplication, the proliferation of cells. Our biology is complicated, and that can happen. But if we have a healthy, strong immune system, these micronutrients make the immune system strong. Then the immune system can stop and destroy or get rid of these precancerous cells. But if we are deficient in this very important micronutrients, we are not going to have that protection. And so our risk of cancer increases. Dioxins, I don't know if you have heard about that one. That is a fairly new thing coming out, fairly new. There's some years now, but it's not like 200 and 300 years. It's high in meat, fish, shellfish, and eggs. Some people have also seen that the high intake of dioxins in this present time has been shown to be in relationship with the development of autism. Very interesting. Autism, cancer, all these things. The way we're eating, could that be increasing the rates? High energy intake, added sugars, and free fats. I cannot emphasize the fact that we're eating too much sugar. And the sugars lower our immune system, the power of our immune system. And not only that, is high caloric, so it increases our weight. And free fats, we're not talking only about saturated fats from animal products. We're talking about a lot of vegetable oils that are being used to fry and to add flavor to all these foods that we're eating, and all the sugar and free fats that are in highly processed foods. And they increase obesity, weight gain and obesity. And obesity is a disease. It has been shown to be a disease. And it increases inflammation, chronic state of inflammation in the body. And this chronic state of inflammation in the body is the basis for the development of all these chronic diseases, including cancer. So lower the intake of sugar, lower the intake of free fats as much as you can. If you can get rid of all the added sugars, better yet. If you can use just the fats from the avocados, the olives, the nuts and seeds, and make great dressings with those things, that would be even better for you. Okay, animal protein increases the risk of cancer, but how? Okay, one of the things I told you that I was going to talk a little bit more about a high insulin growth factor number 1 in animal protein, in animal foods. It says insulin growth factor number 1 is a hormone. It is a hormone that stimulates cell division, cell proliferation. And not only that, but it inhibits apoptosis. Apoptosis is a cell suicide. When the cell is getting bad, is degenerating, it has been damaged, it has had DNA damage. You know what the cell itself does to protect the whole system, the whole organism? It programs itself to die, to commit suicide, quote unquote, to protect the body. Isn't that beautiful? That's the principle of heaven too. Heaven gave itself for us. The cells give the life to protect the body, okay? But insulin-like growth factor number 1, this hormone that it's in great amounts, it's in great amounts, but it also stimulates the production of it in the body, then it inhibits also cell apoptosis. So if the cells are damaged because of the rapid proliferation of cells, and now they do not die, so they will keep growing and increasing and producing tumors. Rapid cell proliferation or division increases the risk of DNA mutation. Every time there is rapid cell division, increases the risk of mutation, especially when we are not growing. When we are children or teenagers, we adolescents, we're growing and we need that. We need all this insulin-like growth factor, but that is supposed to go down and just to maintain the growth of new tissue and things like that, but not to maintain the rapid growth during adolescence and things like that during adulthood. And so during stages of rapid growth, we need it. We need a lot of this insulin-like growth factor, and our body knows how to do it. But levels of insulin-like growth factor should not be too high during adulthood. Eating animal protein seems to trigger endogenous production of insulin-like growth factor number 1, animal protein. Interesting. Remember the China study? Animal protein by itself increases the risk of cancer. One of the ways it has been shown is that the animal protein seems to be triggering the production of the endogenous insulin-like growth factor. Our body produces more of it, okay? Vegans have lower levels of insulin-like growth factor. So vegans have lower level of insulin-like growth factor. Okay, this may explain why cancerous tumors shrink dramatically within weeks of eating a plant-based diet. A person that eats a lot of animal products, an omnivore, decides to become vegan. And so they probably have a lot of precancerous tumors growing up. He doesn't know yet, okay? Or he may know it. And he decides to change to a plant-based diet. I'm not saying a vegan diet, I'm saying a plant-based diet, because vegans, sometimes we try to eat a lot of products that are not that healthy, okay? But a plant-based diet eater is that one that goes for the plant products as natural as they are, as close to the origin as possible, okay? So after just weeks of eating a plant-based diet, a person that had precancerous tumors or cancerous tumors start seeing a decrease in the size of them. If those eating the plant-based diet resume their consumption of animal protein, the cell growth starts again. Okay. In his book, another interesting book that I will show you, How Not to Die, okay, by Michael Greger. He has a great chapter here about how not to die from cancer, okay? I recommend this book greatly. It's very, very interesting, and you will learn a lot. In one paragraph in there, it says, this is how we suspect plant-based eating boosts our blood defenses by reducing animal protein intake. We reduce our levels of insulin-like growth factor 1. After just 11 days of cutting back on animal proteins, your insulin-like growth factor levels can drop by 20%. By 20%, and your levels of insulin-like growth factor 1 binding protein can jump by 50%. One of the ways your body tries to protect itself from cancer, that is excessive growth, is by releasing a binding protein, which is called the insulin-like growth factor 1 binding protein, into your bloodstream to tide up any excess of insulin-like growth factor to help take it out of circulation, so that insulin-like growth factor will not induce this abnormal proliferation or division of cells. So when you change from a omnivore diet, a high animal protein diet, to a plant-based diet, you will produce more insulin-like growth factor binding protein, and the insulin-like growth factor that is already circulating in your body will be tied by the binding protein and taken out of circulation. That's why in a few weeks you reduce your risk of and the tumor the tumors can shrink. The insulin-like growth factor number 1 binding protein is released by the liver to bind that insulin-like growth factor. One thing, he said, oh, I'm already an ovo-lacto vegetarian. I stopped the meat and all that. I only have eggs and milk. But it says here, ovo-lacto vegetarians do not seem to have a significant reduction in insulin-like growth factor. Why? Because even milk increases the insulin-like growth factor 1, and it increases it significantly. In fact, those men that drink a lot of milk, that are milk drinkers, they have a high risk of prostate cancer because of this insulin-like growth factor multiplication and production. Sodium nitrite, which is these nitrites that are high in preservatives, are high in processed meat. Okay, there's a food preservative used in cured meats like sausages, hot dog, and bacon. And I know they are delicious, but they are killing us, okay? Reacts with protein in the foods to produce nitrosamine. So these are preservatives. These sodium nitrite, nitrates, nitrites are preservatives that are put in this to maintain this meats looking red and pretty, okay, when you buy them in the supermarket. But in the body, they produce nitrosamines, which are carcinogens, okay? Nitrosamines are strong carcinogens, and vitamin C, E, and beta carotene inhibit the formation of these nitrosamines. But people that eat all this sodium nitrite in these foods, they usually don't have enough vitamin C, vitamin E, and beta carotene, because these are found mostly in plant foods, in fruits and vegetables, and they are not eating fruits and vegetables. So increase your intake of fruits and vegetables to get the vitamin C, the vitamin E in the grains, whole grains, in nuts and seeds, also in legumes, and beta carotene in all these vegetables. The omnivore diet, low in fruits and vegetables, is low on these important vitamins. Okay. Well, this This quote that I have here is a writer from the 1800, in late 1800, early 1900. And listen to what this very intelligent author wrote at that time. If meat eating were ever healthful, it is not safe now. And this was again in the early 1900s. Cancer, tumors, and pulmonary diseases are largely caused by meat eating. Interesting, because that was written more than 100 years ago. Science today is confirming that, is saying the same thing. Cancers and tumors largely caused by meat eating. Many research are showing that. Many researchers that are being convinced and are changing to the promotion of the plant-based diet are saying this. Sugar, again, I told you about the sugar, too much sugar. But remember, the sugar is lowering our immune system, it's lowering the power of the white blood cells to fight for us. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I don't know how much time we have. We have 20 more minutes. And remember, you can be writing some questions if you have questions. And it says here, limit consumptions of energy-dense foods and avoid sugary drinks, okay? Consume energy-dense foods sparingly. You see an apple there. And you see a piece of chocolate, just a tiny piece of a chocolate bar. They have about the same amount of calorie. But you feel better after eating an apple. You feel fuller, plus you feel better here because you know you are eating a good thing. You feel bad after eating that little piece of chocolate and you're still very, very hungry. But you have a lot of, with the chocolate bar, you have, with a piece of chocolate bar, you have a lot of calories, a lot of fat, a lot of preservatives, a lot of artificial colors, a lot of things that are not good for us. With the apple, you have nutrients, you have fiber, you have phytochemicals, and you have a lower amount of calories. So you have nutrient density, which is going to help you. Avoid sugary drinks, consume fast food sparingly, if at all. And excess energy increases body weight and fat, which increases cancer risk. We already talked about that. Obesity, excess body weight increases your risk of cancer. That cannot be overemphasized because it increases the risk of inflammation. And again, during that, and not only that, but the fat cells, the adipocytes or the fatty cells, when they get bigger, they secrete more chemicals that increase the risk of cancer because they increase inflammation in the body. So one of the hormones that are increased when the fatty cells get larger is estrogen. Men and women, both. When, you know, in the past, they used to think that the fatty cells, that the adipocytes were just a storage for fat. Oh no, we were very wrong. They now see it as an endocrine organ. It's the largest endocrine organ in the body. Endocrine organ is an organ that secretes hormones and hormone-like chemicals or signals. Okay, so excess energy increases body weight and fat, which increases cancer risk. And again, the same author that I read before from the 1800s and 1900s, she wrote, when we do this, when we eat a lot of sugar, when we do this, the whole system is so clogged and enfeebled that it has no power of resistance, no strength to combat disease. I would prefer, listen to this, I would prefer a meat diet to the sweet cakes and pastries so generally and sadly used today. In this, another scientific journal, peer-reviewed article was written with this title, Role of Sugars in Human Neutrophilic Phagocytosis. Neutrophils are white blood cells that do a lot of phagocytosis, and they are one of the most powerful and workers in our immune system. And it says this study was designed to test whether carbohydrates, we're talking here, other than glucose, carbohydrates other than glucose decrease the phagocytic capacity of neutrophils in normal human subjects. Oral 100 grams portion of carbohydrate from glucose, fructose, sucrose, honey, or orange juice all significantly decrease the capacity of the neutrophils to engulf the bacteria as measured by the slide technique. Starch ingestion did not have this effect. What they mean here is that when we eat added sugars, extracted sugars from the sugar cane, extracted sugars from beets, extracted sugars from dates, extracted sugar. We only have the sugar. Now we don't have the fiber. Now we don't have the macronutrients. We don't have the vitamins. We don't have the vitamin C and all that stuff that protects us. The only thing we have is sugar. Those are called added sugars, okay? So all these added sugars, it says after we eat them, they seem to lower the effect of the white blood cells to fight for us and destroy those things that can cause diseases. But it says starches don't do that if they are from foods that are not refined. So you can eat brown rice, you can eat brown spaghetti pasta, you can eat a whole grain bread, you can eat, quinoa, you can eat millet, you can eat all this great food that nature has for us, okay? And the food, the sugar that is made in the body when those carbohydrates, the complex carbohydrates are broken down, the starches are broken down, are handled by the body intelligently because of the fiber and because of the way our body handles them. And then we don't increase the risk of cancer. But when we use this refined sugars, this syrup, even though it is the beautiful maple syrup that everybody says is great, it's still an added sugar. It's just sugar. Okay, the same thing with the honey, the same thing with, we need to use those in great moderation. And, and a lot of people think, but it is natural. It is not really that natural. It has been extracted from, the natural source. And now it is alone. That is not the natural way that nature gave it to us to eat. So the decrease in the phagocytic index was rapid following the ingestion of simple carbohydrates or sugars. The greatest effect occurred between 1 and 2 hours after eating, postprandial, but the values were still significantly below the fasting control values 5 hours after feeding. So 5 hours after you eat a donut and a Coke, you still have that effect that your phagocytes are not really working effectively for you. And at that time, you could be having some carcinogen doing an effect in the DNA of your cells and causing damage that cannot be stopped because the neutrophils and the phagocytes are drunk and they cannot defend you. They cannot protect you. Okay. According to the American Cancer Society study, obesity has been associated with increased mortality from cancers of the colon, the breast, endometrium, kidney, esophagus, gastric cardia, pancreas, prostate, gallbladder, and liver. All these cancers. Obesity. Findings from this study suggest that of all deaths from cancer in the United States, 14% in men and 20% in women are attributable to excess weight or obesity. Increased modernization and westernized diet and lifestyle has been associated with increased prevalence of overweight people in many developing countries. What does this mean? We're eating too much. And the increased modernization, we're not moving. We're not exercising. Before, we were farmers, or we were doing a lot of other things. We were pushing a lawnmower. Now we're sitting on a mower and cutting the grass. We're not moving. We're not exercising. We're not using our muscles. We're not, we're not moving our blood around. So we're having bad circulation. We're not using the extra energy that we're eating in the sugars and the fats, and we're storing all that. That is bringing our weight up, and that is debilitating our health, increasing the risk of all these genetic or damaged cells that we inherited from our parents or grandparents, so that they can develop and cause the cancer. Remember, with the diet, with a good diet, plant-based diet of great natural plant foods, we can block the expression of this disease genes and only have the healthy genes promoting our health and our growth. So you can see here again, obesity can increase the risk of all this cancer. It has been shown in many studies. This chart I got from another, one of the articles that I have been reading from during this presentation. Again, obesity and cancer studies have shown, this is in another of these articles, studies have shown that the common denominators between obesity and cancer include neurochemicals. Remember I told you that this adipose cells, the adipocytes, these fat cells, when they grow, they secrete more hormones and more inflammatory substances, cytokines and all this. Hormones such as insulin-like growth factor, remember that one? Insulin, leptin, sex steroids like estrogen, adiposity, insulin resistance, and inflammation, all that is increased when we accumulate more fat in the body, and that increases the risk of cancer. Have you heard people saying, my doctor told me I cannot eat any soy product? No tofu, not tofu for me, not soy milk, none of that soy good stuff that you are trying to have me eat because I am a cancer patient. And soy increases the risk of cancer because of the estrogen in them. We're going to read something here, okay? Soybeans contain high level of isoflavones. Isoflavones are phytoestrogens or plant estrogens. Phyto means plant. These are estrogen-like molecules, okay? They look very much like estrogen, and in the body they can protect us because they block the absorption and the entrance of the real estrogen into the cells, okay? So soybean contains high level of isoflavones, yes, the phytoestrogen, but they do not act in the body the same as the estrogen that we produce or the estrogen that we can ingest when we eat or drink animal products. Okay, it's different. So physicians warn their estrogen positive breast cancer patients to avoid soy products for fear that the phytoestrogens in them increase cancer growth, because it's estrogen, they said, it's estrogen, and many of these types of cancers are increase the size with estrogen. So if you eat estrogen from soy, you are going to promote the development of these cancers. But that's not what science is showing in some studies. Many studies are showing something different. It says recent research suggests that in reproductive cells like breast and uterus tissue, isoflavones, these phytoestrogens from soy, act more as anti-estrogen. So they work opposite to estrogen. While in bone cells, they have a weak estrogen effect, meaning that they can improve the health of the bones and also deter or decrease the risk of cancer cells in tissues like breast, uterus, and other cells, other tissues that can be affected by estrogens. Okay, phytoestrogens work in those tissues as an anti-estrogen. So let me read more here. Studies suggest that soy is protective against breast cancer recurrence, and death due to breast cancer. So instead of telling your friend, soy can increase your risk of cancer, tell them studies have shown that soy decreases the risk of cancer because it works as an anti-estrogen in this breast tissue, uterus tissue, and even, you know where? Prostate tissue. Soy intake has also been associated with reduction of the risk for prostate cancer. Whole grains and beans, you know, well, if I don't eat meat, if I don't eat eggs and cheese and drink milk, what can I eat? Oh, so much. There is so much that you can eat. You know, plant people that eat plant food, plant-based diet people, they have an immense variety of foods to eat. And all these grains, whole grains and beans that we're talking about right now here are loaded with phytochemicals. Phytochemicals are chemicals that protect us from diseases, and also including cancer. They also contain fiber. Fiber binds to carcinogens and speed the transit time. I said that earlier. They also contain phytates. Phytates are powerful antioxidant. Before, in maybe 30, 40 years ago, or maybe let's say 30 or 40 years ago, really, the nutritionists and dietitians would tell you, don't eat so much of these grains because they have a lot of phytates, and phytates are not that good for us because they bind to nutrients, and then you cannot absorb nutrients and you will be malnourished. Far from the truth. All these phytates now have been studied, and they have proven to be powerful antioxidant, and they boost the activity of natural killer cells. The natural killer cells protect us against cancer. They block angiogenesis. Angiogenesis is the production of blood vessels for the tumors. So if we cannot produce blood vessels around these tumors, the tumors will die because they cannot be nourished. Phytates help us to block angiogenesis. Provide selenium. Whole grains and beans provide a lot of selenium. Remember, I told you selenium is important for the immune system, to have a powerful immune system to work for us. It's a powerful antioxidant also. Zinc, magnesium, they are also found in great amounts in whole grains and beans. They boost the immune system, and that's what we need in this world where we're surrounded not only by bad food, but also by bad atmosphere. Contain tocotrienols and tocopherols. These are vitamin E substances that also are powerful antioxidants. Contain phytoestrogens. Remember the phytoestrogens, they block the estrogen pathway, which lower the risk of breast, uterine, and prostate cancer. And also they contain plant sterols. Instead of cholesterol, they contain plant sterols, which do not increase our risk of heart disease. How dietary fiber lowers the risk of cancer? Quickly, because I think I mentioned this already. Increases the stool bulk, so we have better bowel movement, shorter transit time. And the better your bowel movements, the more regular you are, the lower your risk of colorectal cancer. Carcinogens are diluted in the bulky stool. Binds to carcinogens. This fiber binds to carcinogen, especially soluble fiber, which increases their excretion. When the fiber binds to the carcinogen, the fiber is never absorbed into our body. The fiber is excreted in the feces, and there goes also the carcinogen in the bound to the fiber. Lignans and lignins, two kinds of fiber and flaxseed in flax seeds and other plant foods, have high antioxidant activity that have shown to lower the risk of colon cancer. So eat flax seeds on a regular basis. Put it in the smoothies. I don't know if I think the lady that made the smoothie in the beginning, I think she put flax seeds in there. If she didn't you can put them, okay? You can put them, they are very good for you. As the microbiome in large intestine ferments the fiber, you have heard talking about the microbiome or the microbiota. This is all these microorganisms that live in our body. It's trillions of this in our body. We have more bacteria and microorganisms cells in our body than our own cells. We only have about less than 40 trillion cells in our body, and we have more than 100 trillion of these microorganisms. So this microbiota increases the good one, the symbiotic one, the one that protects us. This good microbiota increases, it proliferates when we have a lot of fiber, because that's what they eat to proliferate, to divide, to increase, and to be happy and healthy, to defend us. Okay, but when we don't eat fiber and we eat a lot of meat, then the microorganisms that increase are the pathogens, the ones that produce diseases, because the good ones, the symbiotic microbiota, the symbionts, the one that work for us and not against us, that one dies little by little because they don't have enough food. And so but the pathogen grows with all these animal products and the metabolites that are formed from these animal products. As the microbiome in the large intestine ferments the fiber, butyric acid is produced, which lowers the intestinal pH, and that also helps us reduce the risk of cancer, because the cancer cells cannot grow well in a low pH. Fiber increases satiation and satiety. So we feel fuller with less food, and we lower the risk of gaining weight and being obese. Because remember, weight gain and obesity increases the risk of cancer. Are we understanding all this? This, remember, it's not I'm going to eat this supplement and lower my risk of cancer and keep eating that way. I'm going to eat a lot of garlic and still eat this way. I'm going to just eat green drinks and continue to eat junk food and continue to eat all this sugar and continue to eat all this oil. That doesn't work. Remember, whole. We need the whole thing. We cannot think a reductionist mind. We cannot think, okay, no, it is a big complex. It's not just one thing. It's a lot of factors, and we need to think about all these factors and all these, dietary factors that are in plant food. We need them, not just, and I think I have this coming soon, the gut microbiota and colon cancer. A varied whole food plant-based diet is high in fiber. A high fiber diet feeds and makes the symbiotic bacteria, the good one, the one that saves us, the one that protects us, that one thrives with a high fiber diet. Eating a variety of fiber-rich plant foods can also help reduce your risk of cancer, including colorectal cancer, major cancers. You can reduce the risk immensely. Pathogenic bacteria flourish when the diet is high in animal products and low in fiber. And okay, we can continue because we don't have much time. But remember, I was telling you, it's not a supplement. We need to eat the right food. A supplement and continue to eat the bad things, that doesn't help. Aim to meet most nutritional needs through diet, not through supplements. We need selenium. Eat them from Brazil nuts. Eat them from nuts and seeds. Eat them from legumes. Eat them from quinoa and whole grains. We need iron, not non-heme iron. Eat them from greens. Eat them from pumpkin seeds and sunflower seeds and quinoa and all these things. Don't go for supplements. Sometimes, in very special times, we may need some supplements, but that's not the average. That's not the norm. The only supplements that we really should be having when we are in a plant-based diet is maybe B12. Vitamin B12. And if you're not having enough sun and you're having problems with the production of vitamin D in your body, then vitamin D. Okay, but the rest, if you eat well, you will have all you need. Okay, Stay away from highly processed foods. They lack nutrients needed for good health. They lack fiber. They lack phytochemicals and antioxidants. They supply unhealthy ingredients. What are these unhealthy ingredients that I'm talking about? Artificial flavors. They could be cancerous. Artificial colors, the same thing. Artificial sweeteners. A lot of studies have shown, hey, they increase the risk of cancer. Added fats, free oils, added sugars, refined sugars, etc. There's a lot of things there. Be careful. Be careful. So stay away from all this packaged food. Go to the grocery part. Go to the produce part. The produce and get in there all the fruits that you like, all the vegetables that you like, and learn to eat variety. Because you know what flourishes when we eat a lot of variety? The microbiota, the symbiotic biota, the symbionts, the ones that protect us. The more variety we add to our diet, if you never had beets, start eating beets. Learn to use them. Start eating more carrots, different greens, different types of vegetables. That experiment. And there are so many channels in YouTube today that can give you great recipes and delicious ones too. Okay, so what can we do? Clean the diet. There are some people that say, no, we need to clean the colon every once in a while. No, we are told to clean the diet. Okay, because when we clean the diet of all this junk food, the body's going to do its own cleansing and protect itself, because it will increase the immune system. It will increase the good symbionts in the microbiota, and all that will start little by little, getting rid of everything wrong that is in the body. Be physically active. Remember, it's not only the diet. We also have to increase physical activity. Be physically active as part of everyday life. Walk more, sit less. Every hour, if you're working on a sitting thing, at the end of this, we need to get up. We need to get up and walk and do something. Move. Walk more, sit less. Limit sedentary habits, such as watching television and navigating online for hours. We need to move. We were not made to be sitting down the whole day. We need to move. Adam and Eve were put in a garden, okay, to work, but to enjoy it, okay. Foods highly recommended on a daily basis: legumes, plant proteins, fiber, phytoestrogen, vitamins, minerals, all that is in the legumes. Whole grains, phytate, non-heme iron, fiber, protein, vitamins, minerals, all that in whole grain. Dark green leafy vegetable, fiber, antioxidant, vitamins, minerals, all that in dark green leafy vegetables. Fruits, especially berries, like in the smoothie at the beginning. Phytochemicals, antioxidants, like vitamin C, beta carotene, fiber, potassium, all that in fruits, especially the many color ones, dark colors, vibrant colors. Flax seeds, chia seeds, hemp seeds, essential fatty acids, lignin precursors. The microbiota in the gut converts all these seeds or these fibers, lignans on that, into phytoestrogens, that the lignans that reduce estrogen exposure and the risk of colon, breast, and prostate cancer. Flax seeds, not a supplement, but the flax seed is a food. Soybeans, phytoestrogens, essential fatty acids, plant proteins. Remember, animal protein have shown to increase the risk of cancer. Plant protein have been shown to reduce the risk of cancer. Turmeric, ginger, garlic, onions, natural things, put them in your food for flavors, season your food with them. They have phytochemicals, antioxidants, a lot of things that will lower the risk of cancer. I remember when I was about 10 years of age. That has been long ago. I remember my father making fun and saying, oh, people that eat plant, they just look like a leaf. They just look like a lettuce, weak and fragile. I've been a vegan, plant-based for 40 some years. 49 years? Yes, 49 years. 50 in May, okay? And what happens? Well, I have had my ups and downs, because sometimes I was eating a lot of sugar. okay, and a lot of oil. But then I decided to stop all that. And what is happening? I'm enjoying the best health, and I eat with so much gusto because my taste buds have changed. So try it. I promise you will not regret it. Okay, you will not regret it. Okay, I'm going to read this again. It says here, more research can and should be done, but the idea that whole foods, plant-based diet can protect against and even treat a wide variety of chronic diseases can no longer be denied. No longer are there just a few people making claims about plant-based diet. There is hundreds, thousands, and even hundreds and hundreds of doctors and scientists that are saying plant-based diet is the way to go. Okay, so it's no longer just a handful of people saying that. It's a lot of even athletes, powerful athletes, becoming plant-based eaters and being champions, okay, and enjoying great health. No longer are there just a few people making claims about a plant-based diet based on their personal experience, philosophy, or the occasional supporting scientific study. Now there are hundreds of detailed, comprehensive, well-done research that point in the same direction. And I invite you to search for those, Google them, go for, read. They say that a good book is a window to the world. So start getting good books. China Study, Oh, How Not to Die, Becoming Vegan. These are just a few of them. There are many more. Now there are hundreds of detailed, comprehensive, well-done research studies that point in the same direction. It is now more commonly accepted that what you eat can determine your risk of multiple cancer. It is now more and more studies are coming out on this. It's just that we're not reading them. And a lot of people are not promoting them. But if you go online, you Google things, you like Google, sit down to Google that. Scholarly articles on how plant-based diet can help us. It is now more commonly accepted that what you eat can determine your risk of multiple cancers. I have also seen the public image of vegetarianism emerge from being considered a dangerous passing fad to a healthful, enduring lifestyle choice. Okay. Cancer prevention program, this is the end of it. This is just a summary, okay? 11 points. The cancer prevention program. Adopt a plant-based diet, at least 9 servings. This is at least, you can have more. 9 servings of colorful fruits and vegetables. Not fried, not with a lot of sugar, in the most natural condition as possible, and seasoned nicely with those garlic and vegetables and onions and some maybe tahini dressing, things like that. Eat more fiber, more legumes, more whole grains, more veggies and fruits. Reduce the free oils. If you can get them out of your kitchen, better, but at least reduce them. Have you seen a doctor coming on YouTube when you were looking things on YouTube, or taking a shot of olive oil? My goodness, I cannot believe that. Drinking olive oil in a glass, because olive oil is good for us. Olive oil have its thing, but we should not be drinking olive oil. Okay, be careful and use it in great moderation if you want to. Reduce free oils, eliminate or limit animal food, reduce added sugars and highly processed foods, avoid nitrite, acrylamide, and the polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons. Stop smoking, eliminate alcohol, avoid smoke or smoking, and smoked and pickled foods. That's too different. Ensure adequate intake of essential fatty acids. Exercise 1 hour every day. Some people say half an hour. That's not enough if you're sitting down the whole day. In fact, 1 hour, if you're sitting the rest of the day, is not enough. 1 hour of exercise, and every hour or so standing up and doing a little bit of movement. Okay, that's better. Less sitting, stand up every hour and move, and maintain a healthy weight. I challenge you to do this, and you won't regret it. Thank you, and I hope you enjoyed this. Is there any questions? I don't think there is.
We want to thank you so much for attending our first night of this information of how to prevent cancer naturally. You know, this is going to be recorded and placed on YouTube. This is something you can tell people to come and view. Such wonderful information from Doris Hernandez, who's very, very knowledgeable in the nutrition and what we can do to eat right. And it can, you know, it can keep us from getting sick. You know, it can keep us having a prevention. Instead of going to the hospital, we can use that money for vacation. But what I think about is my mom, you know, listening to this lecture tonight, my mom died of renal cell carcinoma at the age of 52. And she worked 2 jobs all her life. We ate fast food most of the time because she was working. Never had time for really fresh air or exercise because she was working to support her family. And so I can see the reasons why. Pickled foods were one of her favorites, and high fat, and her favorite beverage was not water. It was caffeine-free Diet Coke. So I can see it's just a recipe for disease and premature death. So I hope you enjoyed tonight, and I hope you learned some things. And maybe if you're practicing good health, you can share it with others. So have a good night. If you still have questions for Doris, you could please email us at lifestyle@heartland.edu, and we will try our best to answer those questions. Invite a friend, and see you tomorrow night. Thank you. Bye-bye.